Oh my god, guys, if you think Instagram fitness content is bad, go on TikTok. If you ask Brett Contreras how to get rid of hip dips, he will tell you, go back in a time machine and get different parents. People take an idea, they don't run with it, they sprint with it. Like, absolute myth. Hello, so welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my glute, booty, batty, bum, bunda series. So today is episode number 3, I believe. If you've not checked out episode number 1 and episode number 2, then what are you doing? Go and watch them. I am going to be busting some myths over glute growth, over glute training, just basically busting all the booty myths, busting all the batty myths. I never thought I had a list, but now when I try to say myths, yeah, I think I've got a slight speech impediment going on there. I asked for people to send some in to me on Instagram, ones that they hear all the time. Maybe not things that they might know are myths, but just things that they hear all the time. I'm basically going to say, are they true? Are they not myths? Or are they false? And are they myths? And I'm going to help dispel them. So I hope you find this video useful. If you are new here, then subscribe, join the fam, stick around, don't be shy. We're a welcoming group of people. So, number 1, cardio kills booty gains. No, not inherently. It's not inherently bad for your glute gains, but there is some truth into people maybe saying that it might cause issues if you are looking to grow your glutes, and there's 2 ways in which cardio can hamper with your glute growth. First way is if you are trying to eat in a calorie surplus, which is optimal for glute growth. You don't have to eat in a surplus, but it is optimal. Essentially, when you're doing cardio, you're increasing your expenditure even more, and you may end up making your expenditure equal to your input, or actually your expenditure higher to your input, so you could end up at maintenance or in a deficit if you're doing a lot of cardio, which obviously is not going to be optimal for your glute growth. Second way in which cardio can hamper with your glute gains is if you are doing too much. Do not just think of cardio as a way to burn extra calories, also think of it as potentially being a burden on recovery between your weight training sessions. Now, if you are slamming yourself into a lot of cardio, you could potentially be hampering with your recovery between your weight training sessions, therefore not making the most of your weight training sessions, not progressively overloading and not being able to train to the intensity in your glute sessions that you should be. So cardio killing your booty gains, it is kind of a myth because it's not inherently true. You can do cardio and grow your glutes at the same time. You just need to be smart about how you do it. The second one is basically, I got asked this in about 7 different ways, phrased in about 7 different ways, all about hip dips, side booty, all that sort of stuff. Basically, you can grow a side booty and fill out your hip dips. Absolute myth. Oh my god, guys, if you think Instagram fitness content is bad, go on TikTok. It's awful. I'm not saying every single person that posts fitness content on TikTok is awful, because don't get me wrong, I've seen some actually really solid stuff on there. But oh my god, the amount of misinformation on that app from people who have a lot of followers and are qualified PTs is astonishing to me. Just because someone is qualified, it does not mean that you need to take what they're saying as gospel, and that's coming from a qualified person. Anything I say, do your own research, look it up. Anything anyone says, apply critical thinking and don't just take it at face value, even if someone is qualified. So no, all these side booty workouts, 1, you don't have a side booty. People often say, work the glute medius, this is your side booty, this can help reduce the appearance of hip dips. Well, no it can't, because your glute medius isn't your side booty. It forms a large proportion of your upper glute, and training your glute medius can actually help form that shelf kind of look and give you that little bit more of a sticky outy booty at the top. It's not going to widen your ass, it's not going to grow your hips, it's certainly not going to fill out your hip dips, because that is not where that muscle sits. I don't want to bang on about this too much because I have done a whole video on hip dips where I go in depth about this, which I'm gonna leave linked in the description box, which you can go and watch. But in summary, we've all got hip dips. Every single person, if you take us back down to our skeleton, every single person in their bone structure has got hip dips. Now, every single person has also got a different bone structure. So your bone structure is going to impact how big that dip is, how visible that hip dip is going to be. And then on top of that, you've got your genetics, you've got your fat storage and all that sort of stuff, which also impacts whether you have visible hip dips or not, because we all have hip dips. It's in our anatomy. Whether they are visible or not boils down to your genetics. I think all you need to do is look at people like Summer Rae. I know she's controversial because she does edit a lot of her pictures, but if you watch videos, she has grown her bum so much, she's still got hip dips. Tammy Hembrow, grown her bum an insane amount, still got hip dips. Megan Grubb, again, grown her bum an insane amount, still got hip dips. If you ask Brett Contreras how to get rid of hip dips, he will tell you, go back in a time machine and get different parents. It's your genetics. Please do not comment on this video saying I lost weight and it helped reduce the appearance of my hip dips. I gained weight and it helped reduce the appearance of my hip dips. If you comment that, I'm just going to refer you back to the main point of this, which is it boils down ultimately to your genetics. For example, if you are someone who your genetics, the way you store fat in your body is predominantly the love handle area and around the top of your thighs, just below where the dip would be visible, you don't hold it in that dip area. Obviously, if you reduce your body fat levels, that's going to reduce the appearance of the dip because you've lost the fat above and below, which makes that dip look less visible, which, as I've just said, boils down to genetics. Same thing, I've gained weight and it helped me reduce the appearance of my hip dips. Look at you, because that's where you store your fat. It boils down to your genetics. You cannot build your side booty. If you asked someone 4 years ago what's a hip dip, you wouldn't have been able to get an answer out of them. No one would know what hip dip even is. So we have to stop letting social media, the fitness industry, because they are responsible for this. There's some very big pages, big brands that promote influencers, that promote athletes, etc., who post these kind of workouts, and it absolutely needs to stop, in my opinion. You are literally creating insecurities for people where there doesn't need to be one. It is your bone structure. It is your bone structure. So yeah, rant over. I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay, number 3, you can't build your glutes with moderate weights. That is a myth. If anyone tells you that, tell them, get out, get out. I spoke about this in episode 1. If you really hate heavy training, a lot of people find it very hard on their joints. You do not have to do it. You can train with moderate weights and build muscle. All you need to do is make sure that you are still progressively overloading. I think when people think progressive overload, and to be honest, progressive overload for me, my preference is to up the weights because I like getting stronger and I like doing strength work, but it's not the only way to do progressive overload. You can add more reps, etc. There's so many different ways that you can progressively overload. You need to do 15 minutes of glute activation before a glute workout. I think glute activation is something where people take an idea, they don't run with it, they sprint with it. Like, people have taken the idea of glute activation and absolutely sprinted with it. They've done a Usain Bolt, they've taken it from something that it never was intended to be. If you want to do 15 minutes of glute activation before your session, absolutely fine. And I think glute activation can actually just be a warm-up for some people, like you're warming up the muscles that you're going to be using, practicing the same movements. If you're going to be doing hip thrusts, you could do some bodyweight hip thrusts before. I think people massively overstate glute activation, in my opinion. And yeah, it's a myth. You don't need 15 to 20 minutes of glute activation before every single session. Do it if you want to do it, warm up however you want to do. If you literally just want to do bodyweight versions of the exercises you're going to be doing, one of my favourite warm-ups to do is literally bodyweight squats, bodyweight lunges, bodyweight bridges, and then I'll go into my session and that's me sorted. Not 100% necessary, and in my opinion, not going to hamper with your gains. Number 4, squats grow your quads, not your glutes. Myth. They grow both, especially if you are going to parallel or below. Your glutes are going to be getting used in squats. Is it the most effective exercise for glute growth? No, but I think there came a time where everyone was like, oh my god, like squats literally do nothing for your glutes, and people just started omitting anything that wasn't hip thrusts, cable kickbacks, abduction work. People stopped leg pressing, people stopped lunging, people stopped squatting because they were like, oh well, it's not the best for my glutes. Just because it's not the most effective exercise doesn't mean you should completely omit it from your training. I spoke about this in episode 1, but a squat is going to work your glutes in the lengthened position. It's going to target the lower subdivision of your glutes more. So if you want to do squats, include them. Do you have to do them to grow your glutes? Absolutely not. But don't omit them from your training thinking they're absolutely useless, because they are still, in my opinion, a great exercise, and they target both your quads and your glutes, not just your quads. Number 5, you need a pump after every workout to get your glutes to grow. Absolutely not. I think something that Brett Contreras talks about a lot, which I completely agree with, is people getting too caught up on, oh, I want to be feeling like I can't walk when I get out the gym. I want to be like pumped to absolute buggery. I want sweat. I want to be in a pool of sweat. It's not necessary to have those things to have got a good workout in. If you are progressively overloading, if you are eating enough, if your exercise selection is good, your glutes are going to be growing whether you got a pump at the end of your workout or not. I personally finish every goddamn session with some kind of pump work, some kind of band burnout, or like a super high rep pumping exercise, because I like to do it, and who doesn't love a good pump? But no, it's not necessary in order to have got a good workout in, or necessary when you are looking to grow your glutes. Okay, next one. Not everyone has the genetics to grow big glutes. My answer to this would be define big. Define big. Big to me might be completely different to someone else's definition of big. I do think this is not a myth, and this is absolutely true. Your genetics are going to have an impact on how big you can grow your glutes. Your genetics are going to have an impact on how quick you can grow your glutes, and your genetics are going to have an impact on how your glutes are going to look when you grow them, the size, the shape, everything like that. Your genetics are going to play a huge role in that. No one has genetics where it means they can't grow their glutes to any size at all. They can't put any size on their glutes. That's not true. But yeah, it is true that genetics are going to play a big role in how much you can grow your glutes and the size that you can grow them to, which is why it is so important to not compare yourself to other people and focus on your own journey. You need to squeeze your glutes at the top of a squat. Myth. No, you do not. In a squat, your glutes are going to be working in the stretch position. They are going to be working when you are at the bottom of that squat, and your glutes tend to activate more when you're parallel or below parallel. When you are at the top of the squat, there's no tension on your glutes. There's not really a need for you to squeeze at the top. It's something you like to do, go for it, knock yourself out. It's not something that I do, and it's certainly not going to screw you over in terms of glute growth if you're not squeezing your glutes at the top of a squat. And the final one is you have to lift heavy to grow your glutes. No, that's a myth. You don't have to lift heavy to grow your glutes. You have to progressively overload and be eating enough calories and be properly fueling your sessions with the right exercise selection to grow your glutes. Like I've spoken about literally like 5-10 minutes ago, depending on how I edit this video. There are other ways to progressively overload other than just continuously upping the weights and ending up lifting really heavy. Also, I think some people get put off even attempting to grow their glutes because on Instagram everyone says lift heavy, lift heavy, lift heavy, and people just starting out will think, well, I can't lift that. Heavy means heavy to you. Heavy is going to be relative to you. To some people, 10 kilograms for hip thrust is heavy. That is heavy to some people that are just starting out. To other people, 150 kilograms is heavy. What does heavy even mean? But yeah, there are so many other ways to progressively overload in order to challenge your muscles, in order to try and build some new muscle tissue, which don't involve adding more weight, which don't involve doing strength work. 1 to 5 reps. I personally recommend, and the way I like to train, is to use all rep ranges, all kinds of loads. But I know for a fact from clients I've worked with, some people absolutely can't stand doing super heavy lifting. So I don't make them do it. I'm not going to make someone do something that they don't enjoy. And you can still see very good progress not lifting heavy. As long as you are continuously challenging your muscle, increasing the stimulus that you are placing upon it, upon your glutes, whatever stimulus that may be, because it doesn't just have to be the weight. At the end of the day, your body doesn't know weight on the bar, your body knows the tension that your muscle is feeling, then you will be making progress. So no, that is not true, and that is a myth. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that video there. I really hope you found this video useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions about anything I said, drop them down below or message me on Instagram and I will get back to you. Subscribe if you wanna and you haven't already. Anything else you want to see in this series, let me know. Also, I'm sorry for not doing 2 uploads last week. I've been really on it with my uploads for a few months now, but last week with the Alphalete launch was just hectic. Also, I've said this so many times on Instagram, so I sound like a broken record, but if you did shop with Alphalete and use my code at the weekend, thank you so much. I would literally not be able to work with the brand if people weren't supporting me with them. The support on this launch has blown my goddamn mind. You are all lovely humans. I literally can't thank you enough. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. This is crazy to me. Thank you. So yeah, thank you and bye.